Hello everyone. We have been studying force and the laws of motion. The laws of motion were given by Newton. We have already studied the first law of motion, which is called the law of inertia. Today, we will study the second law of motion, and we will also understand another very important concept to study the motion of objects. Take this TT table. If the ball bounces over the net and then bounces again to hit your arm, you will feel the impact of the ball, but you will not be hurt. As opposed to this, if you get hit by a cricket ball, there is a chance that you might be in a lot of pain. Why is that? Why would one object have a bigger impact than the other? We can answer this using simple logic. The TT ball is lighter, whereas the cricket ball is heavier. This means that the difference in the impact is due to the mass of the object. We know that heavier an object, more force has to be applied to move it. This is due to the mass. But we also know that a bullet shot from a gun can be very dangerous. But the mass of the bullet itself is very small. But you can also hold bullets in your hand without it harming you. Take another example of this truck. When the truck is parked, it is of no harm to the people on the road. But when the truck is moving, it can harm people who are walking. What does this mean? This means that the difference in the impact is now due to the velocity of the object. A bullet fired from a gun has a certain velocity with which it is moving. A truck on the road is also moving with a velocity. Bullets in the hand and parked trucks do not have a velocity. Newton studied the dependence of impact on mass and velocity of an object. Objects with higher mass and more velocity have a bigger impact. Smaller objects with no velocity have little to no impact. He termed a quality which depends upon mass and velocity of an object. He called it momentum. The momentum p of an object is defined as the product of its mass m and velocity v. Newton figured out that momentum depended on mass as well as velocity, so he gave a formula. P is equal to m into v. Let us now study the properties of momentum. The first property of momentum is that it has a magnitude as well as a direction. The direction of momentum is the same as the direction of velocity. We know that momentum depends upon the mass as well as the velocity of the object. So the unit of momentum is kilogram meter per second. This is the SI unit of momentum and must be remembered for numericals. The next property of momentum is its dependence on force. Increase in force can lead to an increase in velocity. Even to accelerate, we need to increase the force. So as the force increases, velocity increases. But from the formula, we can see that as velocity increases, the momentum would also increase. What does this suggest? Increase in force increases momentum. These three are very important properties of momentum. Imagine that you're pushing a car with a dead battery. It will not move immediately. Like this boy is doing, you have to push the car for a certain time to start moving. In case of a car, it has a mass, but it has no velocity at this moment. For it to gain velocity as well as momentum, force has to be applied. But application of force just once is not enough. Force has to be applied for some time. What conclusion do you think we can get from this? The change of momentum is not only determined by the magnitude of the force, but also by the time during which the force is exerted. This means that although the car may not move when you apply force just once, it will move when you apply the force for a few minutes. So the aspect of time also plays a big role in momentum. This brings us to the second law of motion. Again, this was proposed by Newton. So the second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of the force. This definition will get clear as we go through the mathematical aspect of this law. But I am sure that you can understand the several parts of this statement. We've studied about momentum, unbalanced force, and direction of force. Once you get the mathematical aspect of it, the second law of motion will be ready to go. Thank you, and I hope you've gained something from it.